Okay, tonight we're going to do the Concertina Sketchbook demo. And this particular project is it's actually origami, because we're taking one sheet of paper and we're creating something out of one sheet of paper. Sometimes origami is three-dimensional. This is a sample of a swan that was one sheet, but you can also do three-dimensional. This is a little boat out of one sheet. So it's called a concertina because the accordion folding that you do resembles the instrument, which is like an accordion. So that's how it got its name. And the reason why I decided to make one was because I found that the multimedia paper in the sketchbooks just wasn't good enough for watercolor. And so I wasn't getting the quality of product that I wanted. And when I went and checked on prices, watercolor sketchbooks were pretty expensive. I also had a whole box of student grade watercolor paper that would be perfect for this type of project. So that's why I decided to proceed to make one. One of the most important things I think about the concertina is that you are in control. You can decide what type of paper you wish to use for sketching, for watercolor, for pastel. You can even gesso the pages if you want to do acrylic on certain pages. You can choose to use one page for your artwork, or you can extend it out so that you're doing more than one page. I have a little sample here. I'll just hold this up so I don't have to switch my camera. But you can go on one page, or you can continue it storybook fashion and just continue the same scene on several pages. So you have a lot of control. You can also dedicate your sketchbook to a particular type of endeavor, like landscapes or just skies, or that type of thing. I saw an artist once that took her full sheet of watercolor paper and actually painted on it before she folded it. And that way she had a starting point if she wanted to use it for creative purposes. They make wonderful gifts for artists, and they're also great for prayer journals, or for calligraphers that want to practice their lettering, that type of thing. So anyway, the most important thing that we're going to do, and I'm going to switch my screen here shortly, is we're going to actually fold the paper. So the folding and the cutting is the most important part of this whole process. Now, how many of you are actually folding with me? Are you just taking notes, or?
I'm just taking notes. I don't have the materials, but I would like to see how you fold it, because it sounds like such a wonderful idea. I just didn't have time to get the materials together.
Okay, if you have a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper,
okay,
with you, then you can fold along with me, because that's what I'm going to use, because the watercolor paper was too large for this camera. So I'm going to switch screens here to my camo. There we go. Okay, there are my notes. Okay, let's see here if I can get this up a little bit. Okay, I don't know if you can see this whole paper in this picture. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, like we can see like the 30 inches and
yeah, okay.
It's
Okay,
really zoomed in, Josette.
Pardon me?
It's really zoomed in.
I know. I wish I
The
could
copy
change
in
that.
already.
I don't know how to change the zoom on this unless I lift this up a little bit and go like this. Is that better? Is that better?
Let's see,
I'm sorry. There we go. Okay, well, anyway, the 30-inch, the longest part of your paper or the 11 inches of your paper needs to be at the top. Okay, and the bottom facing you. And all you're going to do to fold is you're going to fold that paper in half. So you're going to bring the bottom up to the top. And then you're going to crease it. Now with watercolor paper, you have to sort of go to the center and march your fingers down the edge, depending on the weight of your paper. You can also use a bone tool to crease it, to get a good crease. So now your paper is folded in half, right?
Mhm.
Did everybody get that part? Okay, now open your paper up again. And you should have a crease right down across the center of your paper. Now you're going to lift the bottom up and you're going to fold it to that center crease that you just made. I don't know if you can see this. There we go.
Yeah.
You can see it. Okay, so you're folding the bottom up to the center and you're going to fold the top down to the center so that they meet exactly. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to crease the papers. Now, when you open it up, you should have, I have more creases, but you should have only two, one across the bottom and one across the top. Now you're going to turn your paper 180 degrees, and you're going to do the same thing in the other direction. You're going to fold that paper in half and crease it. And you're going to open it up. Now you have a center crease. Then you're going to fold those edges to the center like you did the first time and crease those. So it should look like this with the center. Okay, now when you open it, you should actually have 4 rows of 4 pages. Does everybody see that? Do you see all your creases that you made?
Yes.
So you have 4 rows and you have 4 pages. So you actually have 16 on each side.
Mhm.
If you painted on each side of this. Okay, so that's the basis of the concertina, is right there. That's the most important part. Secondly is cutting it. And so before you cut it, I want to show you a little schematic to make it easier. I'm going to switch pages now. Let's see here. Oh. I'm just having trouble with this. Okay. Okay, the first cut that you're going to make, if you put your 11 inches at the top and the bottom facing you, you're going to cut from on the first fold line, you're going to cut from the edge all the way up to the intersection of the first page in the first row. And you're not going to cut any further than that. So you can, if you have some scissors, you can cut that now. And I'm just going to cut this right here. And when I get to that crease on the first, I'm going to stop. Okay. Then you're going to turn your paper around 180 degrees. And the center fold, whoops, you're going to do that. This is the center fold on this paper. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm cutting now in the other direction. I'm going to cut all the way up until I get to the crosswise crease on those top two pages. I don't know if you can see that on here. I'm going to turn it another 180 degrees. And I'm going to repeat what I did the first time. I'm going to cut all the way up to the intersection of the first two. And what you've done is you've created a continuous piece of paper, which is sort of in the letter M. And this is like a little schematic here. It shows you how it, so the paper is going to be continuous. If you held it up, it would look like a little party decoration. And that's all there is to it. There's 3 cuts, the two on the end are in one direction and the one in the center is in the other.
Okay, so now I'm sure it's how you fold this up to make it look
Okay.
cool.
Now,
It's the hard part.
okay, no, that's the easy part. Now, if you remember when you were a child and you made accordions, you're going to start in the lower left-hand paper here, and you're going to fold it up along the crease line you've already made. Okay. Then you're going to fold it under on the crease line that you've already made. And then you're going to fold it again to the edge. All right. Now you're going to fold it under into the next row. You're going to fold it toward you and back, just like an accordion, and then front again. And you're at the end of the second row. Then you're going to fold it under on that crease. And you're going to continue folding it back and forth until you get to the end of the third row. So you only have one row left here. You're going to fold that under. And you're going to fold it front and back until you get to the end. And that is your
That's
Concertina book. And that's it.
That is so cool.
me, that's fun.
Now I did this one out of watercolor paper. So it's a little sturdier. You can see there's your page 1. You can go through yours now, page 2. Now page 3 is a flip up. So you're going to have to flip it up. That's why it's called a pop-up. Okay, then you turn it again. You've got another page. And you've got another page. Then you'll have a flip down. And then you turn it again. You'll have 2 more pages. And then you'll have another flip up. This is where you went under. So this is all made out of one piece of paper. And there's your little concertina book. This is a miniature. When you do it in watercolor paper, it's this big, which is, I have a measuring, oops. Well, I don't know what happened. Here it is right here. it ends up in if you use one sheet of watercolor paper, your book is going to be 5.5 inches by 7.5 inches. And I'm just flipping these so you can see. This is the flip down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Now, was everybody successful? Or do we need to do this again?
I missed the step where I accordion folded my first row,
Okay.
and then I didn't know how to fold it to get to my second row
Okay, you fold it under.
under.
Right.
Okay,
I'm gonna get mine put back out here again. This is the one I already folded. You start in the lower left-hand corner, and you fold up, then you fold under, then
yeah,
you fold up.
yeah,
Okay, now when you go to the second row, you're gonna go under,
okay,
then you
Oh.
go up, and then
Yeah.
under, and then up, and then under, and then up, and then under, and then you
Okay.
just,
got it.
whatever you did before, you do the opposite.
Yeah,
Okay. So that's the most important part of this whole project, is how to fold your paper and how to cut it. Now, if you notice on the cuts, if you were to have a larger piece of paper, you would want to cut in this same fashion, but every other row, you're going to start from the opposite direction. So you remember, you cut up here, then you cut down to here, then you cut up to here. If your paper was larger, then you would cut down again. And that's so that the paper is continuous once you make all the cuts.
right.
All right, you can see my little, I'm sorry.
Okay, why would you have another cut?
Yeah.
Because wouldn't you have it still folded the same way?
No, I'm saying if you started out with a larger piece of paper
Yeah.
than watercolor sheet, and you might have end up with another row. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the proportion of the paper, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's all relative to the portion of the paper. Now, when I made this little one, I wanted a miniature. And so what I did is I just cut my paper into strips, and then I just accordion folded them. And when I got to the end of one panel, I just glued them together. This was where I glued one of my pages together. And then I just attached it and then added another strip. Now, this is not really a true concertina because it's not all out of one piece of paper. Do you understand?
But
Yeah.
then you don't have to worry about the pop up, pop down type of the fold up, fold down then, right?
Right.
There's all
There's no-
seamless.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any fold up, fold down. This is a little quote that I put in my little, it says, "Art enables us to find ourselves and lose ourselves at the same time," by Thomas Merton.
Nice.
So this is just an accordion fold out of strips of paper that I measured and just glued together. I had a problem with this with watercolor though, because the glue didn't want to stay between the pages. This other one, which is the true concertina book, I haven't had any problem with it all, you know. And on the flip ups, well, this flip up I haven't actually painted on yet, but they're fun to do.
Mhm.
So that's how you get the guts of your concertina. sketchbook. Now, the next thing is that you need to make the covers. And what I used was cardboard. And what I did was I cut the cardboard a little bit larger than my sketchbook. So it's just a tiny bit larger. And it's corrugated cardboard. I just used an old box and I cut it with a utility knife. This happens to be the back. The front I covered earlier today. And I used a peacock fabric that I got from Joann's. And what I like to use are these fat quarters.
Mhm.
They sell them in boutiques. And they make really nice covers. And they're only a quarter of a yard. Usually they sell them for $1 a square. Sometimes they're 10 for $10. And they're excellent for crafts. They're 100% cotton. And quilters use them mostly, but they're good for this project. So what I did was I covered, this is the front cover that I did. And I just glued it. I cut the fabric 1 inch larger than the cardboard. And then I used a PVA glue. See if I can get this right so you can see it. It was a pH neutral PVA glue for paper projects and bookbinding. And I use this a lot for different projects. I cut the fabric 1 inch larger than the cardboard, and I turned the corners in first, and then I glued the sides. But you could also cover your covers with your artwork, or you could gesso them and do artwork, or you could use any other kind of paper that you could glue on there, decorative paper. Now the back, if I could find the back. I'm sorry. What did I do with it? Oh, here it is. Okay, now the back I haven't done. And what I do on the back of this is in the center, I measure a crisscross line from corner to corner to find the center of my back cover. There we go. And that's where I'm going to put my paper clip, is in the center there. And I like it better than just gluing the ribbon under the book itself, because it looks a little bit better. So what I do, and I'll just demonstrate this, is I outline a paper clip, and draw around it. And then I go in with a utility knife, and I don't want to cut all the way through. I just cut out the top layer of paper here, because I'm going to bury that paper clip in this cover so that there's no lumps that are showing on the back. So I just cut this out, and then I pick that paper out of there to make a little hole for my paper clip. Okay. See that? Looks pretty good. And then what I do next is to attach the fabric to the back cover. So I would lay it on here about 1 inch around. I put the glue onto the cardboard, not the fabric, and then lay it onto here. And then I turn the edges of the corners in, and it helps if you miter those, like at a 45-degree angle all four corners first. And then once you glue those down, then you can fold your fabric in and glue it, okay?
Mhm.
And that gives you a nice edge. Now on the ribbon closure, I use 1 yard of ribbon, and this complemented the fabric really well. This teal ribbon. And what I do is I fold the ribbon in half. But first, what did I do with that other thing? Here we go. After the fabric's on the back, I cut a little hole through the back and the fabric, which you'll never see. And I simply thread the ribbon through that hole that I've made. And it sort of helps if you have a crochet hook or something to pull it through. Let me see if I can get it through there. Whoops. Okay. I'm just going to push that through to the other side. Okay, now this is your inside. You'll have to pretend that I've already put the fabric on this piece. And I'm going to attach that ribbon to this paper clip to hold it there. So it's down in the paper clip. And then I'm going to pull on that ribbon, and this paper clip will go right down into that hole. Isn't that nice? And we'll hold it there securely. And of course, on this side is your ribbon closure. This is the outside of the back cover. And then I simply take a piece of tape and just tape that. Make sure it's in there real good. And I tape that like that. So there's your back cover. That's the inside. And this would be the outside with your ribbon attached, because it'll come around the front of your book like this. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
For
Yes,
everybody?
it's very, very clever.
Now this one that I made, I actually laid the ribbon between the back cover and the page. Because you have to glue now, you're going to glue your Concertina sketchbook to your covers. So you're going to lose one page or 2 pages, one in the front and one in the back, because you're going to glue those in there. So I'm going to take this, and this is the watercolor one that I made. And here's the front cover. And so what I'm simply going to do is to put glue on here. And we're going to actually glue the front cover. Whoops. And I use these little pieces of foam board. See, just to, because this glue is not going to show, so there's no way that you can make much of a mistake. I'm going to put that on there real good. Make sure I've got it up there a little bit. Okay. All right. And then you're going to take your Concertina book and you're going to simply lay that front cover onto the front. Lay your sketchbook onto the cover and press it down real good. And then, of course, you want to sign that since you made it. It's a piece of art in itself. And there it is. The front cover's on. Okay.
So look.
And the back cover now, you would do the same thing. What happened to my back cover? Here it is. You have to pretend that this has fabric on it already. I would do the same thing. I would cover this up and glue it to this back page. It helps if you line them up real good first before you glue them. And then I would put the whole thing under a bunch of large books so that it gets squished a little bit while it's drying. And then this would be your closure on the front. I didn't want to waste your time gluing both covers. But anyway, this would be the peacock one that we did tonight. And then you just simply tie that, and that's your closure for your booklet. Okay,
That is very slick.
I got it a little
Cool.
twisted back here, but anyway. Now, I used organdy for mine. If you don't want to do the little paper clip deal, you can just simply lay your ribbon down across before you attach your back cover and in the center and do the same thing. You know, you don't have to go to all the trouble to do that. And so there's your book right there. And there's your first page. And it's all done. And flip open. Okay, are there any questions?
Nice.
No, it's quite beautiful.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah.
I like the idea of the what did you call the little piece of material?
The fat quarter.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah, they're-
for just $1, I mean, you could have any kind of covers.
Right. Well, kids love to do this because, you know, the thing is when you go in your studio and you have a real attractive sketchbook there for special things, it makes you want to sit down and enter something in there.
Mhm,
And it also makes a nice coffee table book.
mhm.
I'm going to switch my screen now. There I am. Okay. It makes a really nice coffee table book that you could put out when people come if they want, and also to show some of your work.
Mhm, mhm.
And kids, I think kids would really like to make, this is simple enough that a child can do it. So it would be great for a child's art class.
Mhm.
You could do it in Christmas, you know, Christmas fabric,
Mhm.
seasonal or whatever you want to do.
Mhm.
So anyway, I thank you all, and I'm sorry that my camera was on over Zoom. If it had been set like it was this afternoon,
Mhm.
you would have been able to see this video a lot better, but this is
Now,
my first
Josette,
time.
did you ever make from is that one that you're holding, is that from the watercolor sheet that you buy, the big one?
Yes, this is made out of a full watercolor sheet. And so it's, what did I say? It was 5.5 by 7.5.
Yeah,
Hey, you know, I glued the first page. You can see
Right.
that.
right,
Okay.
right.
And the second page.
Yeah,
And then the third page is a flip up.
yep,
Okay.
okay,
There's 3 different flip ups or flip downs in here because it's all made out of one piece of paper, you see.
right, okay.
Now, if you were to decide to do it accordion style without using a single sheet and just cut strips of paper in any size you want and just fold them accordion and glue them together, you could do that. But I didn't find that this glue that I used stood up very well.
Mm,
Also, Nikki and I, we did some marbling paper.
mhm.
We get together and do art projects every once in a while. And it, on the inside here, if you wanted to, you could use a marbling paper for an insert.
Mhm,
you know, to make that more attractive. So it's not just plain watercolor paper.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
And I'll have to go back and glue this back side. So,
mhm. That looks really nice.
okay. Well, thank you all for listening.
That was great.
Thank you for
Mary,
showing us.
Thanks for
Okay.
sharing that. That was very interesting.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think we can all do some fun holiday gifts then, using that
Mhm.
idea.
Mhm. Nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does any
You're welcome.
if no one has any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Okay.
All right.